Welcome back to NTV On The Road Energy Edition. We are at Olkaria and we are focusing on matters energy, and of course KenGen is the person to be speaking on to these matters. Now on set I have the Managing Director and Chief Executive, that is Madam Rebecca Miano. Welcome to the set.
Thank you.
If we could begin our conversation by having just an introduction into who is Rebecca Miano and what is KenGen and what does it do?
I want to start by saying pole to the parents of precious talent for the tragedy, and really hope that something will be done to avoid such occurrences. So I am currently the Managing Director and CEO of KenGen. I am a lawyer by training. I belong to a class that is now known as MV90. I have worked in the sector, the energy sector, for about a quarter century. That is about 25 years. I started as an assistant legal officer, served through the ranks. The last position I held before this one was company secretary and legal affairs director. So I have a wealth of experience in this sector. About KenGen, KenGen is the largest electricity generator in the East African region. Currently, we have an installed capacity of 1631 megawatts, and we are about to commission Olkaria 5 that will add another 165 megawatts, bringing our total installed capacity to 1796. We have a workforce of about 2,500 employees, various expertise and disciplines, and they are all across the country, various parts of the country, Western, Eastern, Nairobi, Mombasa, and so on. Very proud to work with such a team. And that's why we have grown in leaps and bounds.
Okay. And you spoke about the commissioning of Olkaria 5, and just to take you back to a story we covered, and this is about the resettlement, which speaks to the aspect of community engagement. If you could just walk us through the process as to how you got to this point where we had the Rapland initiative.
Yes, in KenGen, we have now set up a community engagement strategy, and that is formulated using international standards. And we are proud that the community is now a partnership and we work closely. We have the social license to do our projects, and it has been an exciting journey working with the community. And in regard to the Rapland, you have seen what KenGen has done, built new houses, new schools, a social hall, dispensary, and we continue even in future to partner with the communities using the robust strategy that we have put in place. Yes.
And we spoke about 150 households being resettled. In terms of gainful employment, what does KenGen do towards this for the households there?
Currently, we have economic opportunities that arise from the projects. We also employ people from the community to work in the projects, and livelihood has changed. Very good schools, the dispensary, and this has improved the lives of the people who are near our installations.
Okay. You mentioned Olkaria 5, and just to perhaps give us a snippet of why this particular project is significant, and maybe also a view of the kind of pipeline we're looking at in terms of projects for generating power going forward.
Olkaria 5 is the project that we are currently working on. It is almost there, and we'll be commissioning it in the next couple of weeks. 165 megawatts. We are proud that we have been able to construct this project within time, and that is a very big plus. And this will ensure that we have more green and renewable energy going into the future. And it is important to just at this point mention that 80% of all the electricity that is consumed in homes and that is used in businesses is actually generated by KenGen. More exciting is that 85% of the electricity consumed in this country is green, it is renewable, and when the hydrology is good, we actually hit even a cool 95–96% of renewable energy. And these are some of the highest percentages that we have in the world. So that is a very big plus for the country and for the industry, and also for KenGen.
Okay. And within the policy environment, we see a lot of focus, understandably so, around the aspect of energy. We have the least cost plan by the government. We also have a lot of discussion around energy when it comes to the Big Four agenda. Why is it critical that, for example, in the least cost energy plan, geothermal is given priority focus in terms of costing?
In terms of geothermal, as we all know, the setup costs, the downstream costs are quite high because of the drilling, geoscientific work, and all the work that has to be done before. That is quite expensive. But when you have constructed the plants and they are generating, then the cost is more affordable. The O&M is also cheaper. And one of the most important things is that geothermal does not depend on the weather, and therefore the steam and the fuel that we have for that resource is available throughout. And that makes geothermal to be the base load and very reliable. That's why in the long run, geothermal then becomes cheaper than other sources of energy.
Understood. And in terms of research and investment into human capacity building, we do understand that there's a lot being done on this front by KenGen. If you could just speak a little bit into that.
We put a lot of effort and resources in ensuring that our staff are highly skilled and the expertise. As you know, the geothermal sector and power generation is very complex, and we have a lot of capacity building to ensure that our staff have the best skills, and therefore we are able to give the best for this country and even in the region.
Let's talk about the public infrastructure bond, which earlier this year KenGen did indicate that it was about to retire the same. If you could just speak around this particular issue and perhaps what other capital raising initiatives you could be having at KenGen.
We have grown in leaps and bounds, even in the capital markets, and in 2009 we actually floated a public infrastructure bond offer. We raised 25 billion shillings. It enabled us to fund some of our projects. We have been consistently paying the interest, which is 12.5%, and even the redemptions. I am happy that the final redemption installment and even the interest will be paid on 31st of October, and therefore we'll have redeemed the bond successfully at that point. And we are also happy to say that that remains the only infrastructure bond to trade at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So that was a great achievement.
Okay.
Looking into the future, I am sure after redeeming this bond, we shall be looking at other opportunities through the NSC to be able to fund our projects.
Yes, and interesting you've mentioned about the corporate bond market, which indeed is facing a bit of a challenge, but that's a story for another day. In terms of partnerships, we do understand, of course, KenGen is doing quite a bit across the region. Just speak about some of the strategic partnerships that at least the company is looking at and how this is enabling you just to execute your mandate as KenGen.
As part of our strategy, we are looking at diversification of our business and spreading our wings into the region. We are currently working on a drilling contract in Ethiopia and also concluding another one, so we'll be having 2 big projects in Ethiopia. We are also supporting Djibouti, geoscientific work, and also a bit of geology work that is ongoing there. We're also looking at other countries that may be looking at this geothermal resource exploitation. And our aim is to use our expertise, our experience, to have a whole change in Africa by increasing this geothermal resource, so that as Kenya shines, we lift the whole of Africa.
Yes.
So going forward, you will see our footprint spread a little more in the region, and look forward to those activities.
Fantastic. Yes. Unfortunately, time has compelled us to leave it at that with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of KenGen, that's Rebecca Miano. I'll be back after the break with a look at the day's business news.